Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, riveting, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host, Paul.A.D, the one, the only master propaganda heroes like defender of the fatherland of it to a 1v1 on Crossing in the Woods. North it is Paul.A.D fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 10th Panzer Division with Mechanized Assault, German Mechanized, and Spearhead. In the south it is Angreifen, fighting for the Red Army, the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin. Here with the 12th Guards Tank Corps, we got Mechanized, well again, I mentioned that, but we got Defensive, Guard Motor, and Airborne Troops here. Grenadier MD42 versus WME Conquistad here. And there's always a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters. Without them and the invaluable support, the Propagandacast would not be able to keep going and doing what it does. So big thanks to all those other people enjoying for Patreon, or they can donate via PayPal. Well, as you know, if you're in the market for purely comments, you can do so with the link in the comments. Use the code STUG3G, and as you know, comment, like, share, subscribe. So, more conscripts here for Angreifen, the Red Army, heading eastwards and westwards, using the WME to grab a bit more territory there. As Paul.A.D, of course, goes for more standard Wehrmacht opening there. Looking at its commanders, there's definitely a bit of an emphasis on half-tracks to a degree, in sense you can say that, but also Tiger tanks are a bit some repeating options there. Do get a mechanized here of Paul.A.D with the command tank, 250-1 half-track, vehicle critical repair, spotting scopes, and like defend Hubits 18 versus Guard Motor, the ever classic with T-35s, heavy mortars, Guards Rifle Infantry, vehicle crew repair training, and marked vehicle. Second Grenadier Squad almost down there for Paul.A.D. Sandbags here by the eastern victory point here, been flying around with the Grenadiers here, catching here Angreifen's Conscript in a bit of a bad spot there, but fortunately for Angreifen's Conscript, despite running through negative cover, the Grenadiers apparently managed to miss every shot. That is some really good luck there. Westwards here, Pioneers and Units got more Conscript rushing in there, third Conscript as well for Angreifen. Second Grenadier Squad has arrived here for Paul.A.D. Eastern we got the Conscripts being pushed back steadily. Going for that eastern field cut-off point here. Don't enough, not for the eastern field point though. Back at base here, troop enforcing healing. We got some engineers there, laying down some barbed wire there on Paul.A.D's cover. Machine in their range of the building here right from engineers. Bit risky, like, they're actually... Angreifen could have been researching a flamethrower in these engineers, in which case that would have been a very, very uncomfortable experience for the machine gun crew. Fortunately for Paul.A.D though, that was not the case here. But definitely a bit risky, and probably he maybe was thinking about it to figure it wouldn't happen, or he just didn't care. It's like, you know, there's a few options there as to what he could be thinking. Back here, third Grenadier Squad is right, Pioneers and reinforcements, cut-off point hit there. Of course, can't really hold out against a larger Soviet counterattack, as Angreifen, of course, looked to reconnect his fuel supply. Still no attempt to grab the points here. Definitely think should send in the Pioneers, maybe Grenadier Squad to do that. He's obviously more focused now on messing with Angreifen's fuel economy than securing his own, which is... I mean, it's a plan, but it's definitely also one that can backfire on you. So it's definitely one I would advise a bit of hesitation before committing heavily to. We got the Pioneers sent out here. Grabbing some, heading towards that eastern fuel point now. We also got taken weather for Paul.A.D and the German army. And he's right here by the plethora of conscripts under Angreifen's command. Machine going towards the cut-off point here, looking to slow down and delay Angreifen's economy here. Make it hard for them to push out any elite vehicles. That way securing the initial lead there. It's only the type of strategy I as a Wehrmacht player also typically tend to go for, so I definitely get it. Again, even then I usually try to secure a fuel point in the process, but that's another story. All the way, Pioneers heading for the fuel point there. Back at base here, we'll have to see what Paul.A.D does. He could rush out at 250-1, a light half-track here versus Angreifen the Red Army. Back at base here, troop enforcing healing. Marching on the center, Mines on the flank. Enforcing healing. Grabbing the eastern point here with the Pioneer. Could lay down some sandbags, but probably figures they're going to get wide off anyways. Sandbag 6 caught in the center. Machine gun ready, and we do get the light half-track on the way there for Paul.A.D, typically of a German Panzer Division's reconnaissance unit, where some of the reconnaissance troops that were meant to support the armoured cars would be equipped in half-tracks, the rest have been driving around in either Kubwagens or Schwimmwagens or other light vehicles. Fun fact there. Grenadiers there, push back here though, as a swarm of contra there hit the center there, and the Grenadiers are basically as outgunned as you can get versus that many Soviet infantrymen. Light infantry attack almost done there though. Machine gun there, catching the contra, suppressing one of the squad. See east side there, pioneer ground points, cut well off the sandbags. Got the guard squad out of Angreifen. Thumbs up, of course, a very potent infantry unit there. Ground lesson points. After they're rushing forwards. Leichter Schützenpanzerwagen. Will later they'll eventually be discontinued as they would switch all production of these towards armoured cars, and instead reconnaissance units will also have to make do with the 251 half-tank. Little fun fact there. Popping in the gun inside the half-tank here with a light machine gun. Definitely works out, though personally I prefer Panzer Grenadiers, even Assault Grenadiers if you're going Mechanized Assault. Straight to mine here though, definitely gonna, yeah, costing the half-track right away. Great kill there for Angreifen, quite a blow there to Paul.A.D, his little half-track. Well, obviously not that expensive in a sense, you know, still kind of hurts to lose like that. Certainly removes any sort of initial momentum he could have gained from that versus Angreifen there. Certainly the highlights, he definitely needs to be on his toes regarding mines, because Angreifen is already very busy laying down a lot of mines here to deal with any attacks by Paul.A.D. West side, we got controlling around the machine gun's flank here, trying to turn around to stop them. But can he get past it? Yes, he can, because you see there again, there is this flaw in the machine gun, this bug, where for some reason, at times, the tracking on it won't work, and it will take, like, you know, like a second, maybe even two, before it actually starts tracking the target. So you can see, like, enemy infantry just walking past an MD-42 Saga fire. But, like, with any other machine gun, that wouldn't have worked. East Field there falling to the hands of the Red Army, though the Western has been secured by Deutschland. We got Angreifen there with the tank group taking up in his base, and Paul.A.D here actually commits to a second 250 half-track. Now that's actually something you don't see very often. So we'll have to see how that one works out, hopefully a bit better. For Paul.A.D's sake, for Angreifen's sake, obviously I imagine he hopes it just blows up as well. And again, note the way he's moving about, he's looking to sneak around, they hit some car points, try and mess here with Angreifen's economy, make him feel a little less safe, and overall exploit terrain there. Bit bold to do that with unupgraded Grenadiers. That's simply more the sort of thing you'd maybe use Assault Grenadiers for these kind of deep flanks, or Panzer Grenadiers, of course. He's got Mechanized, so he'd have to use Panzer Grenadiers rather than, say, Assault Grenadiers. Now, of course, not like the Grenadiers are bad, but they kind of like, you know, the more serious firepower to, like, you know, stand up on their own to really, like, make an impact. So we'll have to see what Angreifen goes for here. They're looking at it. It might just be a T-7 here versus Paul.A.D and the German army. North here half-tank getting the conscripts. A lot of light machine gun firing at them, pushing them back. And we get a half-tank here from Angreifen, the Red Army here. Rifle goes way above the heads though and does no real damage. Pretty great there for Paul.A.D. I mean, Angreifen, not for Paul.A.D, quite the opposite. And it is, they definitely obviously need to get out before they get murdered here by Angreifen's forces. Machine gun moving up there, gunning pioneers to the eastwards with mine swoopers in case of any further mines here from Angreifen. Very sensible to expect that, obviously. Got the half-track out here, the M5. Very much a big part of the serve meta game. Half-track rushing in there, narrowly avoiding a mine there. Going for that field point, rushing the half-track perhaps towards there. Could of course also clear out some of the barbed wire in the process, or not. There go engineers being routed. Here's the light infantry half-track, pushes them back. Western field point there falling to the hands here. Angreifen, of course, he could try and rush the half-track towards the west there. Instead, he's going to use for now, go for an attempt to wipe the engineers. And I think there's a good chance he wipes here one of Angreifen's engineers. There we go. And we got a half-track filled with guardsmen here. Is that becoming popular now? That's an interesting question there. It's like the second match in a short amount of time there with a half-track filled with guardsmen. I mean, it's obviously actually a pretty good, like, you know, combination there. It's just a bit surprising it took that long for people to figure it out. But anyways, Grenadiers on the way here for Paul.A.D, half-track rushing against their machine gun. He may want to consider Pack 40 here or something else to deal with the half-track, because I mean, he could Panzerfaust it down, but that's going to be, like, incredibly expensive here for Paul.A.D. Not just in terms of munitions, but also likely manpower he's up. I don't think I'd advise that solution here to dealing with a half-track. But a really potent mechanized strike here by Angreifen, though, versus Paul.A.D. Definitely caught him off guard, because at least for now, This isn't particularly typical, like, you know, Soviet meta game at all. Eastern Field Front and hands of the Angreifen, the Red Army. West Point, they're being seized with engineers. A lot of back and forth here. Like to make a nice company up because, well, he doesn't activate anything to really counter the half-tech. He clearly was not anticipating this because, again, most players don't do this. I'm not saying there's going to be like a sure, you know, fire strategy or tactic here, but, you know, it's something worth considering from time to time. Mortar half-tech out here. Mortar half-tech, just heavy mortar though. Constant space in the center. And these engineers there. Bit of light skirmishing. Machine gun moving up. We got the 2-2 on the way. For Paul.A.D, his half-tech's being fixed up here. His lighter Schützen Panzerwagen. Got the HM38, 120mm mortar being held forward here by Angreifen. That's going to be a headache and a half here for Paul.A.D. Alongside this half-track. Going for double 2-2s. Oh my, this is getting to be a pretty spicy match here, honestly. Lots of 250 half-tracks. So mechanized into play, multiple armored cars. It's not quite fully off meta, but it's an interesting diversion, if you will. A really interesting detour. Punches the grenadiers there. Half-tech pushing into the pioneers with the minesweepers inside there. I'm obviously able to switch mines on the move, but in terms of firepower, it's not the most efficient combo, if you will. But there you go, second 2-2 out here, grenadiers just buying time here. Guessing he's going to try and flank the half-tech there with the armored cars, swarm it. Tactically bold, can work out, but could also backfire. There you go, pulling back the half-tech. Perhaps he's sensing something's coming his way. It just figures there's no point in having it. He was going to like besiege the grenadiers. It's hard to say, of course, here. Cough on the hit. Paul.A.D will need to counterattack here. Interesting enough, the half-tech is not being committed to that alongside some grenadiers. You just easily pull up the pioneers then and just rush them towards that. Like the half-tech towards the cough point there with some grenadiers inside of it. You're going for the conscripts. Not upgraded, by the way. Not upgraded. We've got the half-tech falling back in the upgrade, and we've in fact got a mechanized armor coming for Angreifen already. That's going to be a headache and a half, and then some. For Paul.A.D here versus Angreifen. Rush train to the base here. Going for that half-track. Going to tank grenade still, but maybe here Angreifen's hoping to bluff Paul, but Paul doesn't take the bait, or he just doesn't care. Oberleutnant, what about the anti-tank grenades? Ah, just pretend you don't have them. What does he do? Just pretend you don't. I hate you. There you go, straight range to the base here. He actually manages it. Impressively enough here. Talk about a hit and run. It'll certainly be interesting to explain to Stavka. So, comrade, how did these fascists manage to drive multiple armed vehicles into your base, destroy precious equipment, and then drive off again? How much vodka to pretend it didn't happen? 500 gallons. Ew. Anyways, have to control to send a machine gun on the way for Paul.A.D. I mean, he's seen the mechanized armor company, so part of me is kind of impressed. He just goes, yeah, I probably don't need to worry about tanks anytime soon. I mean, he must have a pretty good idea there of like how much fuel, like Angreifen to degree he must have had here. And this is a pretty, like, you know, light vehicle builder, like, in a sense he's gone for. I mean, technically two half-techs, even though, like, one, again, got pretty much turned into scrap metal in a matter of seconds, but, like, he's got two armored cars and a 250 half-tech. That's a pretty heavy reconnaissance formation here. A real Schnellgruppe. For those wondering what a Schnellgruppe was, it was a sort of informal term, I believe, for what one of the types of Panzer or Kampfgruppen that could be achieved from a Panzer division, where they take typically the reconnaissance element and combine it with some armor, but also tank destroyer units, and now form it like a very fast hitting and mobile, you know, Kampfgruppe that way. So, little fun fact there. Eastern Pomegranate with the nears here. No tech yet for Paul.A.D. I mean, he's obviously not got the fuel for it, so he's going to have to go for packs here against whatever Angreifen's going to like to chuck at him, which will likely be T-3045s, as they're obviously quite good. Mines and these here from Angreifen. Anything hits it from the heavy mortar in the center. Half-track, by the way, number 2 is still alive, impressively enough. I'm a car swing here for the Eastern Engineer Squad there, pushing them off the Eastern Field Point. And of course, by this point, the deed has been done. Quickly moving to occupy this position again, interestingly enough. This time with a light machine gun, though, making it a bit more formidable. West side here, fresh machine gun out there holding up here. Angreifen's push there. Heavy field bombardment here on the mid-building. That's definitely not something you maintain for long before the entire thing collapses on him. A mortar base in the center. And really nice swing back here from Paul.A.D of a very light vehicle-focused build, which again is quite rare. In part because it does become quite expensive after a certain point due to all the fuel and manpower investing into this. And if it doesn't work out, partly because 2-2 pathing when you use more than one tends to be atrocious, yeah, you're going to be in a bad place, but at the same time, if you can make it work, it can give you some excellent map control here. Of course, the problem right now coming in for Paul is the T-34-6, and the fact that Paul currently has no anti-tank weapons. West side here, we got the aiming footage of the guardsman there. T-34-6 halfway done. So what will Paul do? He'll probably go for a Pack 40 once it hits, but he could, like otherwise, I think, be forced to rush at a Stug here to counter the T-34-6. Probably should consider some tailor mines no matter what. But otherwise, I mean, he's meant to, like, again, just get a broad control of the map here, almost both fuel points and between the Pioneers fast. Possibly sensing he needs them elsewhere, though I think he may have retreated too fast there. Half track there is... where is it actually? It's all the way back at base. Armored cars merely acting sort of more as forward scouts now. Trying to figure out, I think, where Angreifen's going to enter attack there, maybe set the best counter blow. Forced to fall back in the center a bit. Here's Precious mounting near east side there. He's launching, I think, a minor counterattack here, but this is quickly thrown aside. Here's Angreifen, of course, charging in the T-34-6, and Paul, very crucially, has no anti-tank guns. Panzerschrecks, armor, nothing really to stop the T-34-6 with, which is typically a nightmare scenario. Rifling in the heavy mortar. Does a bit of damage, but yeah, pretty difficult to clear the heavy mortar with a rifle grenade. Back hit forcing healing. Support McCall going out there for Paul.A.D. Machine gun holding up the guardsman there, but there's a feeling it's going to be bombarding that one. He's also managed to kill the fuel pump by now. Great, by the way. Got the Pack 40 there for Paul.A.D. Less than 300 points left here for Angreifen versus Paul.A.D. Grenadiers moving up towards the eastern munitions point. Pouring more troops in the center. Now Angreifen bring in machine guns here to help contain Paul's infantry. Does have full grenadier scores with light machine guns, which is definitely not something you want to run free across the map. Although seemingly playing the half-track a lot more conservatively, not that I blame him. After a certain point when you got opponents got, like, you know, T-34s out, it becomes a bit more difficult to, like, find a good spot to, like, get the half-track into. Not impossible, but, you know, you gotta be more mindful of things. Easterly gunners with the mounting conscript for Paul of Angreifen. Fleeing eastwards, Pack 40 almost down there for Paul.A.D. and the German army. Again, could go for Stug here. More likely going to go for Panther 4 now. This got the Pack 40 out soon. Another field gun here for Angreifen for Paul.A.D. There's certainly an argument he may want to consider investing into mortars of his own. Even if the opponent has a heavy mortar, it's still good to have a mortar out there, in particular on a map like Crossing in the Woods, which is, well, you know, kinda choke point enriched. In terms of, like, you know, create very favorable, you know, setups for defenses at times, particularly for the Soviets with the larger teams. So definitely going to be a tough one here to break through without smoke, I think, here for Paul.A.D. And commander-wise, none of the abilities offer smoke. I mean, theoretically, the command tank can fire smoke shell, but that's about it. Typically, you don't go for the command tank just for the smoke shells. But again, smoke could be a valuable tool here for helping break up, at least, not break up, but disrupt Angreifen's position. The defense is allowing for a more successful breakthrough push. But anyways, west side here, T-filming westwards there. Pack 40 is over in the center. Not being sent westward to support the main push here. I mean, you can sort of get the logic, but at the same time, you should imagine, like, you know, this push into the west will draw attention here from Angreifen, more likely a tank response. Lost the armored car, lost the pioneer squad. Painful there for him. He's going to move up for the car point, though. Perhaps that was his plan, or just a realization that maybe he could actually exploit his mistake and turn the tables in Angreifen, particularly because Angreifen went in heavy with the field guns. Of course, we can clear them out. That would be pretty good here for Paul.A.D. This is, again, I can't quite tell. Is this intentional? Like, was this a bait to set up this? Or is it just him, like, you know, improvising, like, oh, I made a mistake, but I'm able to do something really, you know, clever with this? I don't know. I mean, either of these is, in a sense, like, still pretty good. I mean, like, it's one thing to just, you know, really set up a well bait, but it's also another thing to just realize I made a mistake, but also I can capitalize this nonetheless because my opponent, you know, perhaps also made a mistake there. So there's like some deep thoughts there. Tough to tell all the way, though. Panzer towards the center here for Paul.A.D. and the German army. Guys there pinned down to the ground. Gonna find way there. Pack 40 setting up to destroy the field guns. Very sensible. I mean, he could try and run off with the field guns. Certainly having more anti-tank guns versus his opponent isn't a bad idea, but versus opponent heavy mortar, having to manage too many anti-tank guns also, you know, has its challenges. Meanwhile, though, Angreifen bring up more T-34 some 6s. Clearly no attempt at going here for the T-3045s. You might ask, why not? And I think the answer to that one is simply put, it's going to require too many resources and too much time when he, like, you know, he's being fairly efficient in like resources, and Paul.A.D. is just hitting him hard. He just wants more tanks now for more firepower now. So I definitely see the logic there in just pushing out another T-34-6 right now. Got the eastern fuel point there, by the way. Paul is yet to grab the western point, and also has been able to destroy the field gun here. His Panther 4, they got a bit stuck. Make use of the vehicle critical repair there, which is a perhaps not one of my most favorite named abilities. There we go, critical in the field gun now, while he has the time here, and there we go. Nobody additionally does here with the 7-man squad upgrade. You can actually recruit a field gun and then merge with it, instantly turning into like a 6-man anti-tank gun there. That's a pretty powerful setup there. In this case, the dive of the Panther 4 further turns a bit sour here on Paul.A.D, but he's able to pull back up the Panther 4 in the ashes. But a bit more quickly, he grabs the machine gun right under Paul's nose here. Actually gets away with it, despite the gun is in the haptic fire, which in defensive mobile can absorb a few more hits, but it's not enough here. Panther 4 disengaging, Pack 40 firing here. Really rough engagement here, and ultimately ends up, I think, kind of undercutting to a degree all of the progress Paul.A.D just made against Angreifen. Like, all the losses he inflicted kind of went pear-shaped, or maybe not. He just took out one T-34. The other one is trying to ram the Panther 4. The Panther got wiped. The engine gave out. Fun fact, so engines and T-34 engines in particular were quite unreliable. It's not, you know, what they'll tell you about, but they were. Got the T-34-6. So yeah, that was a pretty bloody engagement, but Angreifen kind of comes out on this one because he didn't really lose a lot of infantry in the process. He still has his support weapons. He managed to grab a machine gun away from Paul. So, yeah, brutal stuff there. Brutal stuff. Need to retreat that machine gun before it all ends up in the hands of Angreifen. That would be very bad news for Paul. Or beyond the already bad news he's being inflicted upon here. Armored car rushing in there. Good chunk of macro here for Angreifen. Paul needs to get some of all of that. And he, of course, needs more armor. Angreifen, of course, not the choice. Does he go for another T-34-6? Or does he try to go here for a T-3045? Well, he probably figures he has a bit of breathing room versus Paul. And it does look like he's going to go for the T-3045. Not that I blame him. Troops forcing here. Basil going out because he wants attention. Yes, Basil. Yes, Basil. Yeah, he gets a bit punished for setting up the pack on the fuel point there, obviously. Again, though, short on units, he needs, like, fuel and all that. But even there, I think going with the pack 40 at such an exposed point there, it definitely was a bit much. Pack wiped out. They're at least close to base this time around. Angreifen can soon go for the T-35. Paul.A.D can also soon go for the Panzer 4. And these machine catching the conscript here almost halted them entirely. Eastern point makes use for the Pioneers. armoured car there with 5 kills. Machine move towards the centre, and again, 2 machine guns now in the service of Angreifen the Red Army. Yes, Basil, meow. Another meow. Troop reinforcing healing here. Pioneers with S-mines down the centre, continuing eastwards. Panzer IV there for Paul.A.D. And quickly spotting the S-mines and sweeping them. Bit of bad luck there in a sense, but you know, at least he tried. And again, if he hadn't had those units nearby, could have messed with Angreifen. Ultimately, I think it's like 1 field, maybe 2, so it's not like he spends a lot of munitions on it either. It's not like he laid down 60 munitions worth of S-mines there, and then he just did nothing. Panzer IV, they're almost done, but Angreifen can go for the T-35. Now, in fact, he hasn't, though. That's a bit odd. I guess he's just too preoccupied with what's going on the front line, forgetting about it, which definitely works a bit out in Paul.A.D's favour. Of course, the longer he waits until he gets out that T-35, the more. But there you go. Right before the Panzer IV arrives, he starts calling in the T-35. Mines in the centre here. This is quite an active match for sure. Enforcing healing, 2 to 2 need repairs, centre cut with engineers. Guardsmen as the mechanized in the west. Machine gun setting up here for Paul.A.D as the machine gun guardsman there. Suppressed. Could consider the anti-armor rounds, but we can see that Angreifen's already considering just bombarding the MG42, which is, you know, pretty sensible. Straight into the mines in the centre, at least it was in the Panzer IV, I suppose. Field gun ready, Panzer IV in the centre, there it goes, straight into the field gun's line of fire, gets a decent at the conscripts. Not a big one though, but at least, you know, kills a few. Another pair of kills there, pretty good there, but now we get the anti-tanks from the Panzer IV, and the T-35 has arrived here for Angreifen, thus posing a bit of a headache there for Paul.A.D. Absolutely needs to get his Panzer IV fixed up rapidly. Which was the victory point here. Paul also struck me a bit with just 2 infantry squads, as opposed with 3 squads. Panzer IV being fixed up. As machine gun, they also need some fixing up, but that's being healed up. We'll have to see what Paul goes for next. Still could be addition to the T-35 command tank for just, you know, more survivability, but again, just a way to blast some of the Angreifen stuff and maybe deploy smoke. We could, of course, just go for more regular Panzer IVs. I mean, that is also a viable option to pursue. Sweeping up the eastern side. And again, plenty of mines, regular flare mines. Packed ambush in the T-35. No veterans over the target weak point here. Not a good shot there from the Pak-40 though. Going to grab the western points away from Angreifen. We got 205 to 276. Pioneers heading out, Panzer heading eastwards. More Grenadiers here for Paul. Counter out easily by the Panzerkampfwagen 4. Almost got the eastern field point there. But he's being a bit more cautious. I note the way he's trying to go about it. I think he's trying to hide in case Paul decides to poke about. He's just going to use the natural terrain to hide them out there. Who needs ambush when you got true sight? Thumbs up. Certainly one of the things that make true sights interesting is, like, you can basically set up ambushes. Like in this case, though, Angreifen apparently is sufficiently paranoid about Paul that he doesn't even try to hide them there. So at MG42 they're going at it. Basil moving about there, looking for attention. Yes. Because that's who he is. Goes around the centre. Still pumping seized here. She's been flanked. And we got a 4th Grenadier squad there. On the way for Paul. Quick rifle minute they're deployed. Already dodged their sword coming. Now they're filling here for Angreifen. Probably feeling fairly confident about the current state of affairs, so just bring more field guns to make things more useful for Paul.A.D's armor. Of course, is a sensible operational move there. West side here we got the engineers moving up here, backed up by armor and field guns. Panzer IV quickly routed. And of course, they've got this heavy mortar, which remains an excellent investment. In particular, on a map like Crossing in the Woods, they can park it like pretty close to your own base and still cover like a fair chunk of the map. Plus, again, the way the terrain is set up, it becomes difficult to like actually like ambush or assail the heavy mortar and clearing out fast enough before it can just retreat. Eastwards here with the conscripts. Dartons in the centre. Bit of healing there. And for those wondering, what is it that makes the heavy mortar so powerful besides, you know, its massive explosive radius? It's the fact that for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, it's animated to only use one crew member, meaning compared to like any other mortar, it has a distinct advantage besides, you know, just being larger on average. But again, it just means the crew can operate fairly differently. It doesn't need to like, can be easily more spaced out, for example. But again, you can just absorb more hits and more easily get away with it without having to worry about, you know, even the most like having to repack or whatnot. So that gives it a rather distinct advantage. And I really don't know why they animate it with like only one guy. Don't bite that, Basil. T-35 moving about here. Pat caught in a pretty bad spot there. He was clearly hoping to sneak up on the T-35, blasting at like max range, but in this case ran into the MG-42, and this, of course, still the rather particular threat of the Soviet heavy mortar. Which is... where is it? Oh, it's still there. For some reason my mind just couldn't see it. Now the Panther fodder for Paul.A.D. Eastern side again falling into the hands of Angreifen and the Red Army. Sandbags in the centre. Armor covers the cunt in the centre. Bit of blasting away there. Field guns being halted onto here as well by Angreifen. Mines here as well. Black Guard Mortar is definitely proving a bit awkward here for Paul.A.D, though again, the heavy mortar kind of creates a situation where he may not feel encouraged to go for it, but like at the same time, it would still, I think, give him some utility. Even like he doesn't intend to like use the collect the serve mortar to like put pressure in other positions, or just, you know, deploy smoke and then skedaddle. Reveal SMO side. But anyways, Piney's on the eastern side here. Field guns there caught here a bit, were pushed back. He's pulling more towards us here, forming up a more stronger defensive nucleus, which if Paul can smash that, he could really deliver a heavy blow to Angreifen. But the key thing about these, in particular with the third ones, is they are pretty difficult to deal with, because again, 6-man supporting crews are difficult for the Wehrmacht to just smash through. Very difficult. Particularly the more typical builds of Wehrmacht, which is just heavy foes and gunners like machine guns and Panther 4s, they can struggle to just break these down fast enough before they just get slammed back in return. Now the T-35 away there for Angreifen the Red Army. Pushing east with the Panther 4 on a pack and some grenadiers, catching the constantly down more flare mines. 144 to 243. Basil, by the way, for those wondering, is sitting right next to the microphone. Lying right next to it. T-35 there, down to half health here, taking a lot of damage for both Panther Pack and Panther Fire here. That said, he's of course concerned about the follow-up with field guns, which could immediately destroy his Panther 4 there, as it is also at half health. Probably might have spotted it with some spotting scope nearby, perhaps. So the two can have some incredible range with it, if it can highlight that, I think. Can we do that? Yeah. Okay, there we go. You can sort of see there, like, it's over here, and you can see all the way here, for example. That's like some incredible line of sight there, which is what can explain to some people there if they weren't aware, like, why some players would go for stuff like spotting scopes, because it synergizes really well with the armored car. Really well. Anyways, bit of a stalemate here, but one that definitely favors Angreifen over Paul.A.D. We definitely need to launch like some kind of like shock assault here, or hope Angreifen messes up and can like, you know, punish him for it. But right, it's looking easy. We've got smoke being deployed here by Angreifen's heavy mortar. Thumbs up. Also, isn't that just like 80mm smoke shells they're using there? They get around to like, you know, setting up for like 120mm smoke shells, interestingly enough. Anyways, Panther forming up here. Action with the T-35, Panther engaging, shot bounced, but the T-35's shot did not bounce. And there you go, damaged engine. The power of the snare, of course, proves to be quite dangerous here. Filming up here, Mark targeting the Panther 4, which honestly seems a bit overkill, but then again, in engagements, overkill is the best kind of kill because it quickly means you can move on to the next target. Which again, in engagements is, you know, pretty good. Less targets you can set up, the better in a sense, like crate. There you go, mine goes off, he catches on the film cruise there, but there you go, Panther 4 still caught double in front of them, and there you go, half health immediately, meaning the second volley could take out the Panther 4. Now we got the T4 flanking here. Panther 4 down there, a huge blow to Paul.A.D. His Pack 4 is moving up here, but again, it's already being outflanked here as Angreifen swings up behind Paul.A.D's assault. His Panther 4's in a bad spot. Pack T5 goes for it, shot misses. But we got the films moving up, we got the Pack 4 about to get wiped. The machine gun is ripping through a bit of here, but the hair mortified, the guards are just making an absolutely impossible situation here of Paul.A.D. An impossible situation, and he's just, yep, pop goes the Panther 4 here. Pioneer's wiped out. Almost got the field gun here. By this point, it very much feels like GG for Paul.A.D. I mean, Angreifen has 2 T-35s, bunch of infantry, plenty of support weapons, heavy mortar. Paul.A.D's got a bunch of infantry, machine gun, the armored car, which again has nice spotting, but doesn't really stop the T-35s when it's got nothing else to work with it. So there you go, GG, game over. Harsh blow here to Paul.A.D, but I think an interesting match here, certainly showing some, you know, interesting side trips here. Again, the power of German light vehicles, because again, you can actually do some surprisingly powerful things. The typical thing is, you know, the back swing is where they kind of hit a brick wall really hard, which is why you don't see them very often. That said, other things probably could have done better. Again, mortars to sort of support, again, this kind of more light vehicle aggressive strategy with a smoke screen, for example, or just other ways of softening up unguarded position. Some Panzer grenadiers, I think, would also been quite a handy addition, personally. But always, I mean, it's overall tough situation there. Gatmotor is easily the best commander, and it's also just a kind of tough map to execute the strategy because it's a series of bottlenecks and choke points, which just means, like, again, these kind of strategies can also quickly run afoul, and the Surge could just, you know, stall out the game and crush you, which is, you know, not fun. So, there you go, though. Hope you enjoyed this match. I learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell friends, tell family, but don't tell enemies. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Up till tomorrow again for a nice episode. Bye.